Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for playoff racing action to see. We go from 8 down to our final 4. They're going to be racing at Chicagoland next week. But first, they've got to tackle one of the biggest and baddest tracks on the racing circuit. It is the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series coming to Talladega for the Funky Tech 266. Before we get to more racing action, I want to give big thanks to all the amazing sponsors that help the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series, starting things off with Track Racer Refined Gaming. If you're looking to get yourself started or completing your racing rig or any rig in general that you're trying to get into sim racing, they've got monitors, they've got steering wheels, they've got it all. Go to Track Racer. And also the Simbox store. You really push our buttons. The Simbox store is where you can go get affordable sim boxes, and as well, you can find them being handcrafted and some of the best out there. Go to the Simbox store's website at www.simboxstore.com or look the Simbox store up on eBay, Facebook. You can find them there. Again, it's the Simbox store. You really push our buttons. Tonight, an important night to see who's going to be moving on to the championship race. One driver did not show up. That's going to be Mark Whitley, not able to show up here tonight. But we have 7 other drivers that are trying to take the final 4 spots. None of them are going to be locked in. Even when we take the green, it's going to be at the end of the race when the checkered flag waves, when we'll find out who is making it on to our final 4. Going to be taking us on tonight here on Freaky Fast. It's going to be myself, Sam Dyer, but we also are going to have 2 other people joining me here tonight, starting things off with Tom Bourne. Tom, we're going to be seeing these drivers tackling Talladega here tonight. Super Speedway Racing. It's still the Gen 6 car, so the drivers, they're still dealing with a little bit of past aero packages, but we've been also hearing from the drivers. It's slightly different.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty much pack racing, but it looks like 8 cars are able to pull away in a 2-car tango like they did back in 2013. It's going to be an interesting race to watch, and it should put on for an interesting show.
It's also going to be extremely exciting, and also exciting for us up in the booth. We bring in a newcomer, Steven Stimpian, going to be joining us. We've seen you, Steven, run in other leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but it's good to have you up in the booth. What are you expecting to see here tonight?
It's good to be here, Sam. I'm expecting some action-packed racing here at Talladega. It's nothing like having a wild card race again to the Final 4 here at Talladega. Some plate racing is going to be fun.
Now, how we got to this point, again, this playoff picture has only been 5 races. 2 races for the round of 16, and then 2 races where we are now in the round of 8. We started the round of 8 at New Hampshire last week, where we found that of Danny Cochran getting himself a victory. Congratulations again to that 2 machine, who's going to try to go for another win here tonight and trying to spoil, because these drivers are in a win and you're in system. All the drivers were not able to lock in for themselves last week, but the 7 drivers that are battling to make sure that they can see themselves going for a championship. Starting things off, top of the points and having the best shot of making it in, Brian Johnson with 5 wins coming into this race, looking for win number 7. With that, Vincent Soar going to be second in the points. Going to be feeling good for the 15, who's been one of the hottest drivers of the recent couple of weeks. Then you have Zach Hall, Mr. Consistent, going to be in 3rd. Cedric Hunter, champion from Season 3 last season, trying to defend his championship this season, going to be 4th. But outside looking in, who need to have great days, Tom Sinchek, champ, the champion of Season 1 and 2, trying to win here this season for Season 4. We'll see if the 8 machine can get into our Final 4 first. With also the driver that's kind of feeling like the lone driver by himself, Eric Krolick, who is not affiliated with Category 5, but the other 6 drivers around him are. So the 0-1 practically feels like it's Eric Krolick against the world. We'll see if he can crack into our Final 4. And then in 7th, the last driver going to be putting himself into a chance to win here and get himself into the Final 4. It's going to be Nick Crawford, our Daytona winner. We'll see if he can win another Super Speedway here tonight. But first, qualifying. And Tom, drivers are about to hit the track here for 5 minutes. 2 laps, try to put down their fastest time. As we see here, Vincent Sora on our screen. Wonder what some of the factors the drivers are going to have to work on to make sure they've got the best time going into qualifying.
Yeah, when it comes to a super speedway track, qualifying really doesn't mean much. You're going to be in a pack most of the time. You really don't want to fall off that pack, or you're going to definitely go a lap down if a caution doesn't come out. But you're going to see on the out lap and even the first lap of the run, of the qualifying run, they're going to be right up against that wall. Got to get as much speed as possible for that second lap. Usually your second lap is your quick lap. Some people like running the bottom on the first lap and everything like that. I personally don't. And ultimately, it's really doesn't matter where you start here. It's all going to be once the race starts, it's up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, just like Tom said, qualifying doesn't mean it's the most important thing here. And Steven, super speedway racing with this aero package is going to be something different. But like Tom said, you don't have to have the best qualifying run. You can even start all the way in the back. But for these drivers, how comfortable does it feel like making sure that you've got the best, you having the best, positioning, track position going to the start of this race?
I'll tell you one thing from past experience. I want to be on the front row. I want that. I want that clean vision out front, leading the pack, taking the green, and making sure I'm hitting all my marks in qualifying. It's very important, obviously. I saw Vincent was running a little bit low on that first lap there. Now he's kind of mixed it up, going high now. So I like too high and low all the way around on that third one.
Right now, again, this is the first lap for a lot of these drivers, as we're going to be seeing where they come around. And again, they're going to be seeing these drivers. One of the more unique aspects of this track, it's talked about every single time. If you're at any other oval course, Vincent Sora would have already crossed the start-finish line, but it's out of the tri-oval. Here is when his time starts for his second lap. And currently, Zach Hall topping the board with his first time. But Tom, just like that, the 15 all the way down the yellow line, this is his money lap.
Yeah, and he's really got to hit these marks. He's got to be smooth through the corners if he wants to have a good lap. You hit that apron just a little bit in the corners, and that throws off your entire lap. All the laps are so close. As you can see, Nick Crawford and Zach Hall are literally tied for the pole right now. Zach Hall would get it because it'd go to the 10 1,000ths, but iRacing doesn't show it. So you really just want to be as smooth as possible.
That smoothness as he's coming through the tri-oval. We are in qualifying, and Steven, you see it there, onto the apron, trying to cut the time, maximize that cutting of the distance. Vincent Sora didn't best the time for himself, but certainly a good time. Fourth place for the 15.
Yeah, not bad time there. I'm not sure if I like the whole cutting of the apron. I kind of like to stick on that yellow line, but that was a little interesting that he pulled there. I don't think I've seen that personally myself.
It's still going to be Zach Hall, going to be besting the time as we'll ride on board with the 13. This is going to be your champion from Season 3, Cedric Hunter, trying to best and put himself on top of the board, coming across the line for his final lap. And for the 13 machine, going to be all the way back, going to be up to 5th after his time being done. Here's Thomas Walter. And Tom, we got to watch the Thomas Walter and kind of talk to these drivers. They were all trying to have, figure out the draft package, but it seemed like a lot more of let's try to have fun for these 100 laps these drivers have to tackle.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, they want to have fun, but also they got a race to win. There's 7 guys that are trying to lock themselves into the final 4, and at some point the fun's going to have to go out the window. Ultimately, these guys are going to have to be patient. Really, you can't win it on the first lap here, but you can definitely end your chances to make the final 4 on the first lap.
Absolutely, as we're still watching the 57 trying to put his best time out. They're going to be one of the few last drivers to put a time out, as Steven, we see these drivers, they're running out of time. We've only got 15 seconds left as Walter's trying to put his first lap, official lap down, and he might run out of time. There's still 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and he'll just cross the line as qualifying comes to a close.
He got lucky on that one.
And just like that, qualifying is done, and it's time for us to see who's making it to the Final 4. Again, tonight, sponsored by that funky Techie 266. Going to be tonight's race sponsor as these drivers are getting ready to go. As we take a look here at that of the Simbox Store qualifying results, as we'll see if they want to pop up this go around as there they are. It's going to be that of Zach Hall topping the board with Nick Crawford in second. Tom Sinchek's going to be in third place with Sean Hutt-Stutler, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, James Loveland, Brian Johnson, Aaron Krolick, and Dakota Moniz going to be finishing out your top 10 with Danny Cochran, Kyle Rochelle, Thomas Walter, Maurice Gomillion, Ryan Berg going to finish out your top 15 with that going to be Max Foner and Trevor Earhart and Jesse Thordick going to be bringing out 18 drivers here tonight for 100 laps. Tom, one of your final thoughts here before we get green. We have our stage break at lap 40. What do you think these driver strategies could be here at the early going?
Well, with them running a full fuel tank, usually you're going to get anywhere from 33 to 37 laps, depending on the draft and everything like that. I see them pitting anywhere from laps 7 to 12, give or take, maybe even splitting it in half and going 20-20. Either way, they're going to have to stop before the stage ends. But ultimately, going throughout this race, you got to worry about the big one. When we come to super speedways, there's always a chance that there's a wreck that takes out at least half the field. And if one of these championship guys isn't careful, they could end up causing it or getting involved in it and ending their hopes.
And these drivers do not have a fast repair, so if they get caught up in a big wreck, it could be their race done and finished. But Steven, you were looking at the last time these drivers were at Talladega. What are some of the strategies you're expecting to see here, especially in this stage 1 when the drivers know they cannot make it to the end of this stage?
I guess the big play is you got to kind of break up the Category 5 team. You got to try to split them up, and especially if I'm Tom Sanchek, you try and get into the Final Four, try to slice and dice and split them up a little bit. With the pit stops, you don't really want to lose the pack, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see a majority of the guys go in when they see a couple of guys go in. I think we're going to see a lot go in at the same time, given how many guys we got running tonight.
And we're going to be seeing how these drivers are going to be attacking here tonight. Again, last time we were at a super speedway race, it was that Nick Crawford that found himself in victory lane at Daytona. We'll see if he can find his way back into victory lane. Going to be that 11 machine on the outside, Zach Hull on the inside, Tom Sinchek going to be in third. Your top 3 going to be drivers that are still in the final and the Elite 8, trying to make it into the Final 4. And then you have last season's Final 4 contender, Sean Hutt-Stutler, who could not make it to the Elite 8 this season, going to be in 4th place. And then you got that of Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora. Those are still other drivers to watch out for. But people that are going to be further back to watch out. Aaron Krolick going to be the furthest back in 9th place. Tom, he's going to be further back, but stage points, only top 5 get him. How aggressive can the 0-1 be? Because he is on the outside looking in.
Personally, I think if he gets to a spot coming to the white flag of the stage where he's in the top 5, I don't think he's going to get very aggressive to go for that stage win. I think any stage points, honestly, are going to help any of these drivers. But I don't see Aaron or Brian Johnson starting 8th and 9th. I don't see them making big moves to try and get to the front because it's only 5 points. If they wreck coming to the stage, then it doesn't matter.
Really doesn't. Points are going to be something to watch out for. Pace cars pulling off. You lead a lap, you get 1 bonus point. You'll lead the most laps, that's another bonus point for yourself. You don't get any incident points, another bonus point for yourself. And also stage points. If you win, you get 5 bonus points, and it trickles down to 1 in 5th place. All these factors are going to be thrown out here tonight. But your top front 2, Zach Hall, Nick Crawford, they're getting ready as the green flag is out, and we are racing here at Talladega for that of the funky Techie 266. And it's going to be already spinning in the back. Going to be that of seeing Trevor Earhart, Jesse Thordick spinning out and wrecking, but we stay green up front.
And as we stay green coming out of turn number 2, looks like the inside lane is prevailing on the bottom. The inside lane not necessarily is the fast line around this track. The high line can really get a run, but if they have enough cars lined up on that inside lane, that's the place you want to be.
And personally, myself, I like that high line. If I can get that high line going, try to make a move early, get that momentum, get a couple of guys on that high line, see what you got on that high line.
And just after lap number 1 up front, it's going to be Zach Hall, Tom Senchek, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Zora. 4 drivers that are technically under the Category 5 banner that are going to be up front. Is Zach Hall leading lap number 1, Nick Crawford, and also seeing other drivers of Brian Johnson fading back. That outside groove, thought maybe he was going to stick, but this is looking mighty eerie, Tom, to what we've seen in the previous Gen 6. The aero package looks exactly the same, like nothing changed.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised they're being really aggressive, pushing each other down the straightaways so far. It's only lap 2, and I'm kind of surprised about it. We saw the 20 car of James Loveland absolutely shove Vincent Sora down the backstretch. He actually got Sora out of shape coming down the backstretch and got him really loose.
And you see, to my point that I brought up earlier, Tom already split up Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter, so see how that goes if we can keep that up.
Yeah, but the big thing for Tom Senchek last season was not a part of Category 5, now officially part of it. Yes, he's got the R16, going to be, as we're right on board with the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik. He's got that of James Tremmel in front of him, showing that you've got a lot of trust in the drivers in front of you. I cannot see a thing when you are right on the back bumper of a driver. And that's going to be visibility, trust, going to be a big factor for a lot of these drivers as now we ride on board with the 0-1. And Tom, smoothness always was a factor when you're qualifying, but when it's race time at this point, I mean, we're seeing drivers, they kind of are stuck where they're at, but look, the 0-1 going to the high line, that outer groove, they want to get going.
Yeah, one big problem you're going to encounter throughout the entire race is an overheating issue. When these cars are tucked up behind one another, like you see the 57 of Thomas Walter tucked up right behind Aaron Kralik, that's getting no air to the nose. So the engine's going to start getting hot, and ultimately, if you run that engine hot for too long, it's going to start losing power.
Yeah, one thing with staying behind somebody for that long, yeah, you're going to get a good run on that high line, but eventually, once you see that red start blinking, that high line's going to take a step back and drop back. I'm sure we'll see a couple of guys momentum shift a little bit.
And you saw just like that, the 20 of James Tremmel kind of was just tossed to the side, 3 wide for a moment as the 20 will fall into the end of the line, and now it's going to be Sean Hutztetler leading that outer groove. Still up front, going to be Zach Hall, Tom Senchek, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, and Danny Cochran going to be your top 5. And all drivers that feel good on where they're at. Really, the top 7 are drivers that are going to be allies with one another. The rest of the field, they're going to have to figure out how to work with one another to try to best our top 7. And Aaron Kralik's going to be that one driver to watch out for, because really everyone that's up front is where they need to be to make sure they're moving on to the final 4.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised that the front 7 are single file right now. They really weren't showing this in practice, as you can see the outside lane really starting to make a charge off turn 4 through a trioval with Sean Hutztetler and Aaron Kralik leading it. I don't think, with this such small of a field, I don't think they're going to really get that outside lane working unless they absolutely split the field in half.
One thing, if I'm Cedric Hunter being on that cutoff, on that bubble, do I really want Zach Hall leading the most laps? You kind of got to get up there and try to mix things up.
Trying to mix things up. But at the same time, I think all these drivers are realizing, hey, we don't need to be too aggressive. Also for that of Brian Johnson, who is starting to see that outer groove get by the 28. Again, going to be all the way in the middle of the pack currently. But for Brian Johnson, he came into tonight having a pretty good bubble to work with, had a 13-point lead with only that of 16 drivers still on track, as Jesse Thordick and Trevor Earhart both in pit road getting repairs done for their vehicles. And already for that of Earhart, going to be 6 laps down. Thordick's going to be finding themselves 3 laps down currently. That little bit of a bubble's got to be feeling good for the 28 machine, who is side by side with that of the 94, Sean Hutztetler. And points are going to be a thing for us to be talking about a lot. But again, I don't see these drivers thinking about making any big moves until possibly the end of the stage. But also, pit stops are going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah, pit stops are happening right now with the 13, the 32. Everybody on the inside lane coming in. You heard the 13 go over the radio saying that they were coming in to pit. But with this, The 8 car of Tom Sinchek stays out. He gets a bonus point for leading that lap. And here goes Aaron Kralik following Sean Huffstutler past him. And maybe now Aaron can get a lap lead as well.
Oh, if I'm Aaron, how many guys were I paying before the race to make sure they're working with me tonight? At least he's got a bonus point. Gonna get a bonus point for Lee, and hopefully here.
He's got to hope that he can get by, but right now it's Sean Huffstutler that's going to be leading for now. As, again, Tom Sinchek did lead that last lap. The 0-1 going to be going on the outside side, using a little bit of side drafting there, but was not able to get the momentum. Going to be stuck side by side as drivers, again, but going to be calling pitting in, and this lead pack gets divided once more in half. We're left with just that of 5 drivers out there running now as 0-1 gets the lap lead, but how bad is this going to be hurting him for the stage break? Because right now, all of the Category 5 drivers that came in initially, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Soar, Brian Johnson, Nick Crawford, Zach Hall, and also Danny Cochran, all those drivers are attached, they're lined up, and they're ready to really take off here and try to gain on as we're right on board Thomas Walter, who is shoving the heck out of Aaron Crawford.
Yeah, with them breaking it up, if they don't go too long, then I think they should be able to form back up. Usually when the pack is side by side, you get a pack of 4 like we have right now. It looks like the whole pack is coming in now this time. You really are able to run faster, but with those Category 5 cars and associates running in single file, they're not going to really gain much if it was a 4-car pack against those 7.
And how much time do you think they really lost there by having 5 guys? They were kind of jumbled up a little bit, as you know, the guys that pitted before them, they were kind of stuck together in line, perfect.
Was a bit of a scare over the radio as Cedric Hunter and that of also James Tremmel almost making contact with a major speed difference, and drivers caught with penalties. Max Foner was caught speeding, actually had to have a 40-second hold for the 51 machine, so he's going to be finding himself possibly going a lap down as we watch the 13 of Cedric Hunter, also that of Vincent Sora, the 1 of Kyle Rochelle, and the 8 of Tom Sinchek working with one another, but R16 ducks it to the high line and gonna be trying to make the pass, set themselves up to be the lead group, and that's all of Rochelle, Tom Sinchek, and James Tremmel working with one another on the outside, but the stall out, their side draft, keeping the 1 from really pressuring on, but here comes the push from Tom Sinchek out of the corner.
Yeah, as the lap car goes low, Cedric Hunter really used that lap car to try and get a draft to hold them next to the 1 and the 8, but ultimately he wasn't able to do it as the top 2 are now clear if they wanted to go to the bottom, as the 8 does so right there. He's trying to get the most laps led. He's trying to get back to the race lead and try to make sure people don't lead laps that don't have to.
Going to be the big goal. Make sure that you're getting every bonus point possible. And now everyone's done their pit stop, and from here on out, everyone can make it. But Steven, I've got a question for you. With these drivers already now making their pit stop and already seeing this aggression, I'm interested for your thoughts on now who's going to slice and dice, as we're seeing Sinchek getting very aggressive on how he's trying to follow his teammates.
He was trying to make things work on that outside, but had to fall back in. I'd tell you one thing I want to do before that stage. I want to make sure I'm trying to get a couple of guys working with me to try to get a bonus point here, taken away from one of these guys in the top 4 if I'm on the outside looking in.
Now Cedric Hunter going to be leading the way up front as they're still side by side. And Tom, we got to see New Hampshire last week, short track racing, and what a round. I mean, the way this playoffs is set up, it's 2 races for the round of 16. They split that group in half to the final 8 to what we have here tonight, where we went from 16 to 8. Then New Hampshire last week was the first race of the round of 8. And now this is going to be our conclusion to see who's making it to the final 4. I mean, the pressure is certainly on when you go from a short track to a super speedway to figure out who's racing for the championship of this season.
Yeah, it definitely is, but everybody's doing what they have to do to basically get in the final 4. Everybody's running up front. As you see, Aaron Kralik, he was one of the last cars to pit. He came out behind the pack. He is going for the race lead now. That inside lane looking a little out of sorts with everybody pushing each other. if people start bump drafting even more or even harder, I could see a wreck happening.
I was talking with some of the drivers, Steven, and teamwork certainly was a factor. And I know you were looking at it for the last season's Talladega race. What are some of the team aspects that you were seeing from last season that we could be brought to this season?
Well, it was just, it seemed like Category 5 had it down pat. They went in with a game plan and worked together, and Cedric Hunter and Zachary Hall came out second and third out of that race. So they have some speed here at Talladega. They know how to work well together and draft. One thing I did like, that top line, you saw Aaron move down a little bit, but Thomas Walter and Nick Crawford were pushing the heck out of him. They had that top line moving for a little bit. But you know where Aaron's head's at right now. He's like, I want that bonus point.
Trying to get the most laps led. Has already led one lap. Trying to get another one for the 0-1. And he's got Thomas Walter to his outside, who's being pushed by the 11 of Nick Crawford. Crawford wants the lead lap as well. And you see Crawford in the 11 got a different rear end scheme trying to show off to the crew. And he even posted this in the Discord showing people this is where you want to bump and touch people as we ride on the back of seeing that Thomas Walter. Right on actually the bumper of seeing the 11. And now here's a picture of his bumper. He said the green and the red is not where you want to hit me. You want to be centered and make sure you hit that black mark right in the center. That's where you want to be bump drafting and making sure drivers knew where the safe places were, because Tom, I think that's been kind of the new thing with a lot of drivers have been running the next gen cup car a lot this week with officials and other drivers doing their Daytona 500 setting up for this weekend of NASCAR's Daytona 500, but we're in the Gen 6. You still got to respect where you give the bump to the driver in front of you.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? As the race winds down, nobody's going to be paying attention to that back bumper. It's just, at that point, it's just there for show. You're going to be beating and banging and everything, and hopefully not wrecking. But, ultimately, I don't think anybody's going to be paying attention to that later in the race.
For one thing, I wouldn't be paying attention to that later in the race.
I honestly wouldn't be paying attention to it at all. I would just be running my race.
It's going to be a big thing for all these drivers. What mentality are they going to be set in, as we're seeing up front, that of Thomas Walter, that of Sean Hutzstutler, as well as seeing Ryan Bird. Drivers that are not in contention for a championship up front, trying to lead the way as Category 5, all in line, and just letting this field kind of go away and letting them race. But right now, you can see the pink machine of Cedric Hunter back in the battling for 8th. He has been frustrated, and it's kind of been interesting to watch. Been trying to figure out how to get by that 20 of that of Johnson, that of Tremmel, and now we see RS Racing, 3 cars in line, trying to see, does 3 cars, is that enough to battle your way up to the lead?
I don't think they're going to have enough help to really get to the lead. I think they can get up to them and start side drafting, but raw speed alone, I don't think so.
Yeah, I really don't think so. If I'm on the high line, I want at least 4 or 5 guys. I don't want 3. I don't think 3 is going to do it for that bottom line. But interesting to see Category 5. They kind of got back together, grouped back together, see what they can pull here before the stage ends.
I think for them, I think they're recognizing, hey, it's getting a little bit too racy for their liking. They want to make sure they're there at the end, dropping back, being the tail end of this group. And for these drivers, again, pit stops have already happened. Stage break, we're halfway from there. We've only had one official DNF. That's going to be Jesse Thordick, who's involved with a lap 1, entering turn 1 incident where that of Trevor Earhart, the wheel spun, turned into the 14. It was our first incident of the day. Total of 16 drivers on track, 1 lap down. That's going to be Max Boner that's on track. Still 15 on the lead lap. Dakota Moniz and that of Maurice Gomillion are not attached to this lead group. This lead pack going to be that of 13 drivers, all still racing here, but up front, it's side by side for our top 8.
Yeah, and Sinchek trying to get back to the lead, wanting to try and get those most laps led, and those 5 extra bonus points for the stage win. He's got a great push from Kyle Rochelle right now, clears them both by 2 car lengths, and that allows the 20 of James Trammell to get in line behind him. And ultimately, it's going to be a dogfight for this race win if everything goes to plan. And ultimately, I think it's going to be a dogfight for the stage win also.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Tom's been doing a good job, though, on working that high line. He's been on that high line most of the race and finally got cleared to get dropped to the bottom with that number 1 car. So he's looking pretty good, looking pretty strong early.
Going to be that of RS Racing. Tom Senchak, Kyle Rochelle, James Trammell going to be your front 3. And now ducking to the high side. You see that Thomas Walter, Sean Hutztetler, Eric Kralik going to be working with one another. Ryan Bird also getting in, but a late block by the 8. And now they're going to have to go even higher, as that is some dangerous driving, especially for that of Tom Senchak. Surprised he's making these blocking moves, especially knowing that there is no fast repairs. We're only on lap 20, coming to 21 of 100.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if Senchak made any enemies, all right, his day could have been done right there. All right, just because they got a run on you doesn't mean you should block. I'm a big believer in that. It's especially on lap 21. It's a long race to go. There's 100 laps tonight. You still got 80 laps to go. Like, I don't understand the blocking. I don't understand the aggressiveness. If honestly, you should be riding around in line. If you get a run, you get a run. But that's just me. Some people see it other ways.
And it's kind of like you got to take a deep breath and think big picture here, you know? You got to relax. I know if I'm in his position, lap 20, I'm taking it easy. I'm not trying to block Dale Jr. line it, you know, work both lines.
Yeah, and especially because we were only on lap 20 when that block was made, and just showing we are only halfway through stage 1. Stage 1 comes to a conclusion at that of lap 41. At the end of lap, yes, at the start of lap 41, end of lap 40 for these drivers. So Thomas Walter feeling good up front. And with the 57 leading all these laps, he might be kind of like how we saw, you know, a little bit of a snub action of Danny Cochran stealing the win and taking away that lock-in position. Thomas Walter might be trying to steal that most laps led bonus point. And right now the 57's doing a great job of that, which could change the factor for that of Nick Crawford, who is going to need a lot of points for himself to get back into the mix of things. Same for Aaron Kralik. They're going to need every single point possible. Tom Senchak and Cedric Hunter, those are the bubble drivers. That of Cedric Hunter coming in 4th. That of Tom Senchak comes in 5th in points, and there's just a small difference between those drivers of just 5 points. And Tom Senchak going to be hoping to get as many points possible to shrink that at the end of the stage. So when it's the end of the race, he only has to be a position or more to push out that Hello Kitty machine.
Yeah, and Sam, you mentioned it. You know, the people that need points. You know, the people that need to get these stage points, the people that need to lead the most laps or even lead a lap. All right, what about the guys that don't in reality? Like the Brian Johnson or the Vincent Sora that are 1-2 in the points, that have a decent cushion. If I was them, I'd be sitting at the tail end of this pack just waiting. I wouldn't want to get up there and race. You can afford to lose those 5 stage points and make sure you're there at the end to get the maximum amount of points that the race pays out.
Yeah, you definitely want to get that bonus point without any incidents. I think that's what they're thinking right now. You know, laying back.
And, you know, you guys are both drivers. You've raced with this Gen 6 car before. How difficult is it when you're racing here and it kind of gets monotonous of everyone's in line racing like this? Feels like a choo-choo train simulator where you're just following in the tracks of the drivers in front of you. Starting you off with you, Tom. I mean, how is it just staying in line, trying to stay patient to make that move?
For a while, it kind of gets repetitive and you start to zone out, honestly. You know, and then by the time you end up zoning out, they make a move and you're like, whoa, I was not expecting this. And, you know, next thing you know, you got to do pit stops come up and, you know, more green flag racing. And then before you know it, you're at the end of the race. I don't enjoy playing follow the leader, but I mean, sometimes at super speedways nowadays with this package and the way people race, it's kind of what you have to do.
I do have to agree with that. I think, many races I've had at Talladega, I'll be sitting behind somebody, taking a sip of water, relaxing, just pacing myself. Maybe I'll go on the outside, try to see if I can create a run, try to learn something for the end of the race, to make a big pass if I have to. So right now, you're just staying relaxed, thinking about your pit stops coming up on the stage.
It's going to be the next thing these drivers are thinking about. Stage again at the end of lap 40 for these drivers. So they still got a lot of time to get there, but you you test some things, try to figure out how you want to attack. And right now, watch out for the 13 Hello Kitty machine. They've lingered back by about 3/10 to the 20 of James Tremmel. And now it looks like that back half of the pack of all of category 5, magnitude 9, they're thinking about working with one another, and they might think about seeing what type of runs they can build up once they just get that go button, get the green light, and they try to make a pass.
Yeah, a big thing for me for super speedway racing is usually I'm staying in the back. I want to stay in the back until probably about 10 laps to go, give or take, depending how big the field is, to start making my moves. But before that, if there is stages, in the first stage, I'll try to go from the back to the front and see how fast I can do it to kind of gauge later in the race. If I have any help, can I do it on my own? What line would work the best? It all comes down to trying things out early so you know what to do at the end.
And you see Tom Sanchek, he's been trying it a few times. You see him duck out a little bit, and realizes he's got no help behind him. I'm trying that, but I kind of like Category 5's strategy right now. They're kind of like a tropical storm right now in the first stage, right? It's brewing, it's getting in the water, the nice warm Florida water down there. Eventually, close to the end of the race, we'll get to that Category 5. We'll see them dice it up.
When is that go button for them at the end of this stage? Those stage points are important. Yes, Tom, you even threw it out of Brian Johnson, Vince Sora, even Zach Hall, you could say, have a pretty good buffer to work with. And if they don't get, into the top 5 and get those stage points, it's not the worst case scenario, but I would imagine they want to get those stage points so that for Brian Johnson, if he does get stage points, he will be locked in going into the rest of this race. So I'd imagine there are some drivers that know this stage break could be a lock.
Oh, no.
Oh,
James
no.
Tremmel and others to reckon in Category 5 in the mix. Our Season 3 champion heavily involved in this one, as it's going to be Cedric Hunter. Did not want to be involved, and he has lost his front nose and is going to have to come into pit road as James Tremmel with required damage. And we were hoping it wouldn't be from the backside, but that's where the first yellow will come out.
Yeah, that is just a mistake on Cedric Hunter's part. He got a huge push by Vincent Sora down the backstretch, and he just made a late move to the outside of the 20, hit him in the rear. Oh my goodness. The 11 car, Nick Crawford, gets involved. Big damage on the 13. I think that's the day over for the 13. I don't know if they do get it repaired. I don't believe he's going to have enough speed to keep it in the draft.
No, I don't think so either. I think that was he just misjudged the run that he had. I don't think he expected that much of a run and just clipped the car in front of him.
For our Season 3 champion, I know this is not the way that he wanted this race to end. And at this point, he's going to have to come to pit road, hope that the car doesn't blow up and have any more damage. But for Cedric Hunter, came in tonight as our bubble driver, has a 5-point gap over that of Tom Sinchak, but with how small the field is, his season in race is not over yet, but he's going to need a lot of help if the 13 wants to move on to our Final Four.
Yeah, and Sam, touching on what I said earlier, it was a mental error. He could have, been riding and zoned completely, misjudged it. That's what happens when you're riding around in a line. Your senses go, on vacation for a little bit. And he didn't have a meatball flag, which is good, but he's got heavy front end and back end damage. That's at least, I want to say, at least 5 to 10 minutes of optional repairs. at least going to go a lap down.
I'm thinking he's going to go multiple laps down. That looks. I'm going to take the over on 10. It does not look good, and I've been in that situation before when you're trying to race for a championship, and then it's just all over in an instant. But if you're Tom Senchuk right now, you're kind of like, all right, you can kind of take a deep breath, right, and relax a little bit now. You don't got that much pressure on you.
Where they lie currently, it would be the 8 moving on, and it would be that of Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, and then coming in that third spot would be coin champ Tom Senchuk, who was a winner of season 1 and 2, a championship here for the NAISCC Cup Series. Last season's champion, that being for season 3, Cedric Hunter. We'll see how well he can come back from this. But still, it's out there. We're only 30 laps in. This is only our first yellow. We're expecting our next one to be the stage break. It's going to be our second yellow at the end of lap 40. So there's still a lot of time to find some more, incidents, or even have a chance to get a win here for some. I mean, there's been wilder things. You never know at super speedway races. I wouldn't say that was the big one, but certainly in storyline, it's going to be a big incident. Cedric Hunter and James Tremmell both in pit road, still getting repairs done. Cherry Hurt and Jesse Thornick's both going to be officially out of this race. The drivers that are on track currently going to be still only 14, as it's going to be that of Thomas Walter, Sean Hutstetler, Aaron Kralik, Ryan Bird, and Tom Senchuk, your top 5, as we wait for the drivers to get the cue to 1 to go.
Yeah, and Sam, the good thing with that 13 machine, as he's rolling off pit road right now, I don't know how much damage he got repaired, but the good thing is James Trammell has a meatball flag, which means something's either wrong in the suspension or the engine. More than likely the engine, the way he hit, which is at least, I want to say, 10 minutes of required repairs, if I remember correctly. So the farthest the 13, if the 20 car does not come back out on track, the farthest the 13 can fall is the position he's running in 15th. Granted, would the stage points would have helped? Yeah, if this happened, but there is still a shot that other playoff drivers can get into trouble and possibly squeak his way in, but he's going to have to work for it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, right now you just got to ride it out, and it is Talladega. I mean, anything can happen. But interesting, I was just looking at the replay there, and I was looking at Cedric's speed. He hit 205 before he caught up to James Trammell. Trammell was running a 194, so a 10-mile-an-hour speed difference there coming up.
And Sam, I'm not sure if you've heard, Cedric is not happy over the radio.
No, he is not. They are not happy. It was a lot of deliberating going on under these pacing laps. As us up in the booth, we can, check out replays from our side. As you fans got to see the instant replay when the yellow first came out. But also the drivers themselves, once they get into pit road, they can, get out of the car, check to see the replay, and then hop back in. As James Trammell is going to be officially DNF'd. He is done for the night. So we're going to be seeing if Cedric Hunter, his race isn't done. That's another position out, and those are points that drivers are going to be needing as we are stacking up and getting ready to go. Cedric Hunter, race isn't over, but frustration is certainly building here at the Super Speedway. Up front, going to be that of Thomas Walter, that of Sean Hutstetler, Aaron Kralik, Ryan Bird, Tom Senchuk, going to be your top 5 with Kyle Rochelle, Vincent Sora, Nick Crawford, Brian Johnson, Maurice Gomillion, going to finish out your top 10 with Danny Cochran, Zach Hall, Dakota Moniz, and Cedric Hunter, going to be the drivers that are still out on tracks with Max Foner finishing out our top 15. Green flag is up. We're getting ready to go. Green flag racing. Again, stage 1 is not over. It's at the end of lap 40 when we'll see stage 1 be done as Thomas Walter, major launch for himself, and this is not where the 57 wants to be.
Now, he's going to be a sitting duck off of turn 2 or even before it, as the 94, the 01, and the 49 are all lined up. I'm not sure if they're going to stay in line. They're going to make a move. It looks like they're looking to the outside. Yes, there goes the 94 of Sean Hutstetler with push from the 01 of Aaron Kralik to get by that 57 machine. They're going to duck back low in front of him. And, well, As Aaron proves me wrong, he stays to the outside, going for the lead.
You know, I was just thinking in my head, how aggressive after watching, you know, how quickly things can change in an instant, how aggressive do these guys want to be coming to the stage? And I guess they are answering my question because they are moving.
Yeah, I mean, they have to move. They know the bubble driver that was on that 4th place in points is damaged out, really underpowered, and has already lost the draft to our front runners. Cedric Hunter, he's going to need these drivers to get into an accident if he wants to stay running for a Final Four in a championship once again. But for Aaron Kralik, he has now seen an opportunity to get maximum points here at the stage, win the stage, get 5 bonus points, and you're back into the mix. But here comes Thomas Walter to the outside with that of Tom Senchek going to be following suit.
Yeah, and Sam, you know, these playoff drivers that are still remaining in this race, they're thinking like, okay, there goes one person. You know, with Mark Whitley not showing up here, it was down to 7. Now with Cedric Hunter getting damage, that puts him in a big hole. Right now, unless something happens where Cedric Hunter can get all his damage repaired and everything, it's going to be a 6-horse battle for 4 spots. And with that cutoff line, with Cedric Hunter being on that cutoff line, that opens the door for the guys behind him to really maximize these points and really maximize trying to get into the Final Four, as we only have 2 drivers inside the top 5 that would be getting stage points that are in the Elite 8.
If I'm Aaron Kralik, I'm loving my position right now coming up to the stage. I'm trying to stay here till this stage finishes. But again, how aggressive do you really want to be?
Yeah, and Steven, just touching on that, we've seen Ryan Bird really staying with Aaron Kralik all night long. He's been pushing him on the outside lane the entire time. And I'm not sure if that 49 car is going to leave Aaron's back bumper.
He must have got a good payday before this race.
Working with one another for sure is what their goals are. As coming in again, some of the teams that are working with one another for that 0-1, his teammates officially for that of Aaron Kralik was that of the 5, Dakota Moniz, and the 14, Jesse Thordick. But Aaron Kralik, I was talking to him before this race started, and it kind of was the 0-4 against Category 5. All of the 7 drivers that showed up here tonight of our Elite 8, 6 were from Category 5. Then you had Aaron Kralik by himself. So we'll see how well the 0-1 can hold on, as right now they're getting mixy back there for 4th place.
Yeah, and we just crossed 5 to go to the stage break. And you see Senchek trying to make that outside lane work. He jumped out of line. Not going to be able to jump in line if it doesn't work anymore with the 57 of Thomas Walter filling the hole. And a guy that's starting to creep in on that bottom line, Nick Crawford. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him getting 1 or 2 stage points by the end of this stage.
Yeah, it was a interesting move by Tom there, you know, knowing that you're coming down to the final laps. You only got a couple of guys on that outside row, and the top 5 getting the points for coming to the end of the stage. It's like I'm kind of thinking I'm just riding on the bottom, staying in line. You know, you really need a couple more guys than just the 3. But, you know, as I say that, you see Zach Hall up on the outside with the 5 car there. So maybe they can make something work before the stage ends.
Yeah, I mean, for that of the 8 of Tom Senchek, he did want to get with his teammate, that being Aaron Kralik, on the outside, with the 1 of Kyle Rochelle. Aaron Kralik, though, trying to do everything that he can to hold on, but Bird's got to be careful not to give the 0-1 too bad of a bump, as that inside row gets a little bit squeezed, accordion back, and it's going to be the 8 on the outside with a massive run, and now they're going to be side by side, almost 3 wide, as Sean, that of Tom Senchek's got to be careful. Ryan Bird's going to be giving a great shove. Aaron Kralik back to the lead as we got 4 laps to go. Take that back, 3 laps to go here in stage number 1.
Yeah, and Sam, that little 3 wide for even a second or 2, really, you see it really killed the momentum on that outside lane. Senchek and the 1 of Kyle Rochelle, they're really going to have to work to get back to the front 2. And I don't know how much that 1 car is you know, how hot it is. He's been tucked up behind that 8 for about 3 laps now. Steven, I know you've done super speedway racing before. It's usually about 3 to 5 laps before you really start getting in the red with temperatures.
Yeah, I'd say in between that 3 to 5 laps in between. You know, tucked up behind somebody's bumper, you're getting a little nervous. You're seeing that red light come on your temperature gauge. You're backing up a little bit. It's going to stop the run on the outside. You know, one thing that you mentioned there, Tom, with the 3 wide, you know, that kills all the momentum too. It's because it's either you got to stay in the throttle or you got to back out and kill all the momentum. So, interesting. I mean, it's getting intense here as we come to the end of the stage.
Well, killing the momentum certainly was a 0-1 as Kralik, very risky move on the backstretch, came up defending the outer lane that came with a major run, and drivers over the radio saying, let's not wreck here, as coming close to the end of the stage, drivers coming across the line. This is it, the white flag considered of the stage 1. Top 5 only get stage points here. Eric Kralik, Tom Sinchek, they are in the prime spots to get the maximum points for the 0-1 and the 8.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know if the 8 car makes a move. I don't know if anybody's going to go with him. That outside lane is not where he needs it to be to jump up and try and get a push. I'm not sure if he's going to be content running in second for this stage. I think he's going to try and make a move, but you've seen it all night. That 49 car is sticking with the 01. And if the 8 car makes a move, wouldn't be surprised. You see the 13 of Cedric Hunter going a lap down. Another lap down before the stage ends. And here I come to the line. Too late of a move. The 01 gets the stage win, those 5 bonus points.
And you did see Aaron's teammate there for the race sneak out and try to help Tom there. But like you said, it was just too late of a move.
And the big thing, bonus points for that of Aaron Kralik, Tom Sinchek. The rest of our playoff drivers did not get those points. So we'll see how well they can try to react. This is going to be that of Aaron Kralik, Tom Sinchek, Ryan Bird, Sean Hutstetler, Kyle Rochelle, and that of Maurice Gomillion going to be taking the drivers up front. But for us, we're going to step aside real quick. When we come back, drivers should be out of pit road, and we'll see who's still racing and who's going to be parking it here tonight, as we are here for that of the funky Techie 260 for that of the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series at Talladega. We'll be back in just a moment. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series for that of the Funky Techie 266. Already championship complications in the first stage as we are now running it to the end. No more stage breaks, but at least one more pit stop to go. Cedric Hunter, James Tremmel, incident between themselves with a 13 heavily damaged and currently 5 laps down. But oh boy, there might be another complication. Eric Kralik holds on, but that could have been another big one up front as they're going to be scattering around one another. 3 wide for 5th place. And just in a blink of an eye, Tom, we almost saw another one of our championship drivers seeing their race being done.
Yeah, that was just a bit of miscommunication. The 51 went up and tried to get back in line behind the 01, and there was no room. He was to his quarter panel. Great save by Aaron Kralik. I know his championship hopes just flashed before his eyes as, he could have had major damage if he hit that wall the way he was going.
Yeah, definitely a scary moment. He was, I think his heart was in his stomach, and his hands were full. But he's looking again outside, try to be aggressive and get back up there. He's not, even like a scary moment like that, he's not laying back.
Absolutely not. I mean, this is kind of what we were seeing during practice, where drivers trying very aggressive moves, trying to put the cars to the max and limits. They were failing most of the time during practice, but hey, if you failed so many times, success is soon to brew at some point. As now on the high line, we've seen those drivers battling around that of seeing the drivers 8th, 9th, and 10th place. But up front, it's Dakota Moniz, a driver that we've seen win at this track before here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but it was in the trucks when that happened. And right now, Dakota trying to get another Talladega win, but here in the Cup Series.
Yeah, and Dakota was riding around in the back the entire first part of the stage. He's not looking for points or anything like that. He was just making sure the car was there, and now it's time to go. If he's up front, I expect him to stay up front as 01 starting to fall back a little bit. Got shuffled out of line on that high side. Now he's falling back to, I want to say, almost outside. Yeah, he's running 12th right now. He's outside the top 10.
Kind of a questionable move. It was kind of like he saw Mr. Zachary Hall in front of him, and he just went to the 3rd line, did not want to help him out at all. He just tried to create his own line, and it cost him a little bit.
It certainly has, because now Eric Kralik finds himself with not a lot of help of drivers behind him or in front of him. He's going to be trying to hope that Max Foner and a couple of other drivers work as Nick Crawford moves up in the mix and mingles with the Category 5 team on the outside, as well as seeing the 8. Tom Sinchek going to be leading this outer groove, but now a little bit of shuffling where they want to go as Dakota Moniz, who lingered in the back. Also the 44, Maurice Gomillion, who stayed with the 5. They tried to stay on the lead lap before the stage was done. They did exactly that, and now you got the 5 leading on the inside and the 44 leading on the outside.
Sam, I'm not too sure if these guys have their, the broadcast up in the cars, because literally every time we say something, they do the opposite. So, you know what? Maybe they know what we're going to say, and they're just trying to prove us wrong tonight.
I think I have to agree with that one. They're just like, well, let's do this, see if it works. Right now they're side by side. We're coming up to lap 50. They're not holding back at all. I think the action's heating up right now. As a driver, Talladega plate racing, I'm seeing this. I'm kind of ducking out a little bit. I think I'm going to let them wreck, and be there at the end. It's still early. We got half a race left.
That we do, as we are now officially halfway through this 100-lap race here for the Funky Techie 266 at Talladega to figure out who is moving on from our Elite 8 to our Final 4 that will race for a championship next week at Chicagoland. Right now, Cedric, that of Mark Whitley, officially out of this thing. Cedric Hunter's going to be needing drivers to get into wrecks and have complications. As that outer groove, right now we're riding on the hood of the 44 Maurice Gomillion, but that outer lane, it is stacked up and in a scary spot as Zach Hall has to be forced to go to the inside.
Yeah, and Steven, you were saying, I don't want to be in that group. And I think Nick Crawford decided the exact same thing. He ducked out of line going to the 3rd lane in the corner, and he just dropped straight to the back. He did not want to be right there in the middle of that, especially with the way they're stacking up and everything. And right now, Aaron Kralik and Crawford, I think they're sitting in the catbird seat right now. At the end of this pack, they have all the, if they wreck in front of them, they have all the room to brake. Don't have to worry about anybody running them over. And if they need to, they can just stop on the track if they wreck. And ultimately, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with that too, Tom. I mean, you've got enough room. You know, you're in the back. What I usually like to do is I'll duck out a little bit, maybe run the middle line, you know, get back into the draft a little bit, see what's going on. That way I get a clear picture of what's going on in front of me. Because obviously, as we know, it's hard to see when you're tucked up behind somebody's bumper. Try to avoid a crash, but that time, you know, obviously Nick Crawford, he did something that we suggested, not the opposite.
Right now, there is a lot of complications on that high line, as right now it is Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Zach Hall making the move with Brian Johnson as well as Kyle Rochelle. But watching practice, Tom, we saw that the 2 and the 15 out of 2 complications, and there they go, wrecking Maurice Gomillion, and it looks like it's a bunch of drivers that were not in the playoff in the championship hunt, but flipping is the 44, Maurice Gomillion, Nick Crawford slow, and that is another complication, and drivers flipped upside down is going to be the 44 of Mo. And Mo is going to be taking the fast repair. We're taking the tow to pit road. Same for Max Foner going to pit road. And just in a blink of an eye, another yellow strikes, and the big one potentially hits here as a lot of drivers that were supposed to be Aaron Kralik's friends are now out of the race.
Yeah, and it doesn't suit well for Aaron Kralik, but you know what? They did everything that they had to do, and they avoided that big wreck. I don't really know what happened here. It looks like a little contact between the 5, 15, and the 2, and it looks like the 49 just got into the 94 and sent Maurice on a wild ride.
Yeah, just got a little bunched up there. Obviously, tight into the turns, a little bump drafting that you can't be doing. But like we said, hey, you know, Nick and Aaron sitting in the catbird seat. They were able to avoid that, walk away unscathed.
That's just going to be more and more points that are going to be potentially thrown away. And now, as we see Mo sliding, I mean, that is I think the biggest surprise is that it was not, I don't think any of the final of our playoff drivers trying to make it into the championship 4 were involved in that wreck, as there were 5 drivers all mixed into that. But now you see everyone into pit road. Cedric Hunter is going to be trying to get a wave around, get at least 1 lap back, as Maurice Gomillion is going to be still in pit road. As you see, the 5, the 2, both coming into pit road and expecting fuel, potentially tires. The drivers do have 4 sets of tires to work with here. To see that Brian Johnson and others taking tires for themselves.
Yeah, you know, I expect with cautions there's going to be tires put on the car. I don't see under green flag circumstances there's going to be any tires, maybe 2 at most. But like you saw in the first stage when everybody came in, it was a lot of fuel only stops, you know, only 6 to 7 seconds. Maybe they threw on tires, some of them, but you know, as the race goes on, as these tires wear, you know, you don't think much like, oh, it's a super speedway, the tires really don't wear. Well, even if they don't wear, it still feels very uncomfortable getting pushed in the draft, in the corners, you know, with that tire wear going down 2-3%, maybe even more as the run goes on.
Yeah, not only that, but coming out pit road on the apron, you know, on a green flag stop, you don't take tires. You know, it gets a little slippery down there, as we've seen before.
And now, looking at the drivers, Maurice Gomillion going to be another driver thrown into the DNF column, as it's going to be Maurice Gomillion in the 44, James Tremmel, Jesse Thordick, and Trevor Earhart. Going to be the 4 drivers out of this race. We started with 18, and still in pit road getting service done is Ryan Bird and Max Foner, who are in 12th and 13th position. Cedric Hunter comes into pit road after getting the lucky dog spot. So the 13 is going to get service done. Should be able to move up to at least 14th and potentially up to 12th, which the more that this field shrinks, and it's only down to that of the championship of the 7 that showed up here tonight of our Elite 8, the points are, there's not going to be a lot to gain. It's going to be based off of who wins at some point, which Aaron Kralik, with winning stage 1, his 5 bonus points, and also leading a lap, going to be helping the 0-1. Same for the 8, led a lap, got the 4 bonus points from the stage break. The points are going to be a lot closer, even with the field getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, but you know what? That worked out perfectly for Cedric Hunter. He missed the wreck. Okay, yes, he's still damaged, but with Maurice Gomillion going out of the race, that's another point towards that final 4.
Yeah, if I'm Cedric Hunter, I'm just riding out, just hoping a big one. Get, 10, you got 12 guys, 11 guys on the lead lap right now. Hope around maybe lap 65, 70, you get another couple of guys taken out, another couple of positions you can gain. It's kind of wait and see it. As a driver, I hate being damaged, running a $155 at a track all by myself, and you're just riding around hoping for the best. It's just the worst feeling in the world.
Well, drivers that were involved in that last incident are still running. Going to be that of Ryan Bird and Sean Hutzsteller still on the lead lap, even with their damage. Still in pit road is Max Foner. Cedric Hunter is going to be about 2 laps away from taking that 14th position. As up front, going to be Thomas Walter, that of Kyle Rochelle, Tom Sinchek, Vincent Sora, and Zach Hall going to be your top 5. And just like we noted on during qualifying and track position was not the biggest thing to worry about, as our biggest movers are up front too. Walter up that of 12 positions for qualifying in 13th, and also qualifying 12th, up 10 positions, going to be finding that of Kyle Rochelle.
Yeah, and it's, they've been running up front all race long. The 57 machine has really been helping Aaron Kralik. The 1 machine, you've seen him on the outside trying to make moves left and right. I don't know. With them being up front, this could shake things up. Vincent Sora restarting in the 3rd position, Tom Sinchek in 4th, and Dakota Moniz rounding out the top 5 on this restart. Dakota, we only saw running up front after the first stage was over. He could shake things up. Kralik back to 7th. He might be trying to sit there and wait. You never know. But lights are out on the pace car, Sam. They're doubled up. Pace car looking to hit pit road, and we should be looking forward to a fun finish.
Getting ready to go, and before we get back to Green Flag Racing, Steven, what are some of your thoughts as we're past halfway, and we're practically down to just our final 7 that are still racing for a chance for a championship?
Oh, right now, if I'm a guy like Tom, I'm kind of in the driver's seat right now. I don't have to be that aggressive and to make the next week, make the final 4. Just kind of taking it easy, patient, but I have a feeling it's not going to happen. We're going to see some action-packed racing here in the last 40 laps.
Still very aggressive drivers up front. Thomas Walter, Vincent Sora, Kyle Rochelle. Those 3 drivers willing to do anything and everything. Vincent Sora during practice probably had the biggest misfortunes of being wrecked while leading. I don't know if the 15 wants to be leading in front of this pack, but he certainly wants to get aggressive, moving up to the high line and trying to get some help from the 1, but not able to get any of that. It looks like the 15, he wants to go to the back where it might be safer.
I don't know if he wanted to go to the back. As he jumps back in line in 5th place, okay, he's just listening to us apparently. I think he was just trying to see if he could get a run on the outside, but he didn't see the line wasn't formed on the outside yet, and found an opening behind Aaron Kralik in that 5th position.
Yeah, so kind of a new field of view for Vincent Sora, because he really hasn't been up front the whole race. First half of the race he's been laying back, probably trying different things to be there at the end, see if he can learn something, to grab, maybe steal a win here.
To do some quick math over here on my end, figuring out what's the point scenario looking like. And with Tom Sinchek getting 4th and leading a lap, and potentially could be leading the most laps just based off leading a lap, and also finishing 4th during the stage, that of Tom Sinchek and Cedric Hunter are technically tied in points if they'd come into this race. So all that the 8 really needs to do now is make sure that he is in front of the 13, and as well make sure that he's in front of the 0-1, and he'll be finding himself into our final 4.
Sam, coming down to the wire here, it looks like there's only 12 cars on the lead lap. If if nobody loses the draft, nobody goes down another lap, farthest you can fall back is 12. I'm not sure if it's going to help or hurt the playoff drivers. You know, it could go both ways for all 7 of them.
Sure, none of these guys are thinking about that right now. You know, they're out there driving. They ain't got no time to do math. They just want to get a good finish and avoid the wreck. Because you know the big one's going to happen.
I think it's whenever they feel like pressuring and going side by side again. And honestly, once they try to do that move, it could become costly. But as the drivers are finding themselves single file out, hey, if they're not going to go side by side, why don't we go side by side? As we're going to go non-stop for these drivers as we're on lap 59, going to be coming up to 90. Thomas Walter, Tom Sinchek, Dakota Moniz, Eric Kralik, and Vincent Soar. It's going to be your top 5 as we come back from this break. We'll see who's going to be making the big moves and who will be making it to the Final 4. And after that extended break for ourselves, the drivers have just finished up green flags pit stops, which was their money stop. And under this money stop pit stop, we have lost one driver. Cedric Hunter has officially parked it and is done. No other drivers. He was expecting there to be a yellow throne and just did not feel like continuing the race. So up front, it is Category 5. Tom Sidchek, that is Zach Hall, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Ryan Johnson going to be your leaders. And then you got a small little pack, 6/10 back, but the racing is still happening. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Tom Bourne and Steven Stimpy and Robert Moyers running productions here tonight as you are watching the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. And as tonight's race being that the funky Techie 266. It's been the choo-choo train simulator for most of the race, but hey, Tom, at least pit road's done. That means the drivers are setting up for a great finish here tonight.
Yeah, it's with pit stops out of the way, they should be about 2 to 3 laps to the good. If a green white checker comes out or anything like that, I expect these guys to just jump down pit road and to make sure they have enough fuel and everything. It's getting a little racy back here in the back. Those category 5 cars of Zach Hall, Nick Crawford, and all them. Or affiliates, I should say. They just left Sinchek out to dry.
And kind of an interesting move. I did not see that coming. I thought they were just going to stay in line, try to gain a little bit of time on that group behind them, but kind of changed everything up on them. Don't know what was going on there with 70 to go, but I think Zach Hall's thinking one thing and one thing only: I want to win.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about this group is right now, with the amount of drivers that are left out on track, Nick Crawford is now officially in a must-win scenario for the 11 machines. So with being in second place, he's going to have to make a move here on Zach Hall. But how much communication is there truly going on? Because Zach Hall, that of also Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson, they're technically under different teams, as that of Zach Hall, he's technically under the Category 5 official team. And then you've got Nick Crawford, Brian Johnson. They're under Magnitude 9 because they had to split off from Category 5 after last season. And then you also have that of PC Motorsports, where you find Vincent Sora being a part of that crew. Tom Sinchek's a part of RS So there are small different, pathways that they're on. But technically outside of the NAISCC Cup Series, our top, that of 5, all are underneath the same banner of Category 5. So there might be under different, allies for this Cup Series. It's going to be interesting to see how well they want to work with one another as the laps continue to tick away. We're less than 30 laps to go here for the funky Techie 266.
Yeah, and, like you said, Sam, we're under 30 to go. Before you know it, we're going to be under 20 to go, and then under 10 to go. And with this field so small, like you said, Cedric Hunter retiring from the race, 12 cars remain in this race. 6 of them, basically half the remaining field, have a chance to make the Final Four. They got to figure out who they're going to be working with, what they can do, and for the non-guys that aren't with this Category 5 and affiliates, they got to figure out a way to get past them because they are leading the charge right now.
Tom and Sam, do you wonder what's going on the radio communications for the Category 5 team? Is there any type of orders going on right now? Or is it just a free-for-all?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, right? You come into this race and there were 6 Category 5 drivers trying to make it into the Final Four, but that's the thing. There's only 4 spots open. Ryan Johnson, Zach Hall, those are the 2 highest of the Category 5 drivers. They're trying their best to just stay up front and are looking confident. Vincent Sora as well in second, looking confident for himself. But it's Nick Crawford, Tom Sinchek. Those are the 2 drivers that I'm wondering, how aggressive are they going to be racing around one another? Because it could be with Tom Sinchek where they're running right now. He would be the driver moving in and being that final lock-in spot. But Nick Crawford, he's 1 position away from locking himself in and bumping the 8 out of the Final Four.
Yeah, and you mentioned team communications. Honestly, I could see the Category 5 and co just staying in line behind Zach Hall. Maybe Zach Hall can get the most laps led here, get that extra point. So if he does finish second, it kind of evens out a little bit. It's all basically mind games at this point.
Yeah, I mean, interesting point there with the laps led. I'll tell you one thing. When we were coming into this race, I guess my favorite pick that I didn't tell you guys, I think my money's on Tom. I think Tom's going to pull something out here. I don't know. I just have a feeling about that 8. There's something about the number 8 in Talladega. So let's see if he can get that thing to victory lane.
I mean, if we're making picks now with coming to 25 laps to go when they cross the line, I think I'm going to have to go with kind of an underdog pick. I think Kyle Rochelle going to be a non-playoff Elite 8 driver. I think Kyle Rochelle could try to steal this one away if Category 5 accidentally start wrecking one another. I think that's where my pick's going to be. Tom, as they're coming out of turn number 4, coming to 25 laps to go, who's going to be your pick on who could potentially win here tonight?
Sam, I was hoping you asked me that. With being cursed by commentators picking me to do well in races and not doing well in those races, I'm not picking anyone. I don't want to possibly jinx any of these drivers to possibly get out of the chance to win or even make the Final Four. I don't want that on my shoulders at all.
I guess you could pick Cedric Hanna, right? I mean, Cedric Hanna's, you can't jinx him any more than what's already happened.
That's true. That's very true. But
no, you do not get away with this, Tom. You have to make a pick. You did no. You're in the booth. You get to curse someone. Get to make a pick.
All right. You know what? I'm getting word from Robert up in the tower that Nick Crawford's the one to look out for. So you know what? I'm gonna pick him. Just for Robert's sake.
Hey, that's not a bad pick. He's already won at a super speedway this season. It was the first race of season 4, Daytona 500 winner for Nick Crawford. He's going to be trying to go for another win potentially at the super speedways. So I like that pick. But Steven, no more pit stops, no more stages. It's just now a waiting game on who's going to make the move and potentially a pass, which could be around 6. That could be around the place that we might be thinking about drivers potentially moving up. But again, that could be also 5th, where Tom Senchek and Kyle Rochelle, teammates from RS Racing, they're going to have to possibly think about making a move over our front 4.
Yeah, if I'm Aaron, and I've been known to do this from time to time while racing, I'm on the keyboard, holding the steering wheel, trying to work with as many guys, a little bit of PM. Hey, can you guys get behind me, help me out here? Let's get a run, maybe 5 laps to go. Let's see what we can do. Because he's the guy that needs it the most, right? I mean, he's on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, and, like you said, he's the guy on the outside looking in. Sam, I know we were talking to him earlier in the before the race, and he basically, the rest of the field was like, well, you're going up against a powerhouse right now. We're going to try and help you out. And it's kind of the rest of the field versus Category 5 and company at this point.
Yeah, Aaron Kralik comes in, again, running in 10th position currently around drivers that were involved in one of our biggest wrecks so far, hoping to get some assistance from those drivers. But Kralik comes in, I mean, one of 3 drivers that were left in our Elite 8 that have not won this season, has 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, kind of the biggest underdog of those that were in the Elite 8. Had a decent run at New Hampshire last week, but right now, the 0-1 is back in trouble in my eyes. He is around drivers that are damaged, and this is kind of a worst-case scenario when the drivers that were your allies now have damage when at one moment they were pushing you to lead this race. As up front, a little bit of shuffling going on, as seeing that of Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, they were battling with one another, trying to get by the 2 of Danny Cochran.
So, Aaron, I just feel like, he's not in a good spot to really do anything. He's the 2nd car on this leaders of in the lineup. I mean, if I'm trying to make a move, I kind of want to be in that 7th, 6th position, trying to make something happen. But as we say that, we see the top line going here with Dakota Moniz leading the pack.
Getting the run, and here they go. Nick Crawford's going to be shuffled to the inside. He's got to find some space, but also having a little bit of ink and blink, and he's hoping to get back in line safely. But Dakota Moniz, who has won here before, showing the outside line, still has power. And just like that, I was unsure if they had the speed, but just like that, Aaron Kralick's now on the outside, trying to bleed with this group. Now Moniz going to be dropping down to the inside, and here comes that Thomas Walter back to the lead where he was when we were 20 laps into the race.
You know, it's funny. Both of you said Kralick is, might be a little in danger, and right now he's up in third. That outside lane really helped him to get to the front. And look, it is all non-people that are associated with Category 5. And you know what? The good thing is that 5 machine is now in front of them. Maybe he's hitting the brake a little bit to get that 01 in line and really get him going.
That's basically whoever Aaron paid the most to help him out is trying to block Category 5 right now. But it just goes to show that Talladega in an instant can change. You know, you can go from the back of the lead pack there right up to the front.
That they're trying to do, and again, Aaron Kralick, with the amount of drivers that are left in this race, is technically kind of in a must-win scenario, unless he can find himself to be, I believe, that of 4 positions ahead of Tom Senchek. That is the goal for the 0-1, or just win and you're in. That is the best way to make sure that you are going into the Final 4. And for the 0-1, this is exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, and Aaron Kralick sitting in the perfect position right now. He will get second best points in the race, not including bonus points. If they finish here right now, the next highest finisher that's in the Elite 8 is the 32 machine of Zachary Hall, and then you got Vincent Sora behind him, Brian Johnson. So if they finish like this right now, which I don't think they will, as we're coming down to, I believe, 17 to go, it's gonna be close.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna, we saw it there a little bit a couple laps ago, side by side. The high line's working. You know, if I'm coming up down to close to the finish, I think my move is the high line. I want to be leading that pack on the high line, and that's where I want to make my move. You know, just try to block the low line if I can. I'm not doing anything too aggressive. Obviously, you don't want to take out the whole field, but that high line is where you want to be to make the move and get back up to the lead. And I'm sure the drivers from Category 5 learned something with that high line move in there a couple laps ago.
Well, it's going to be a waiting game from here on out. You can kind of get a sense that the top 3, they're kind of trapped. They've got Category 5 behind them, lingering back, getting set up to possibly make a pass here. And Tom, when is go mode? When should these drivers really start to attack and go for the pass? Because right now, it looks like Zach Hall and also Vincent Sora, they're just waiting back. They're waiting. They're getting a little bit of a run. And here they come. It looks like now is the time for them to go.
Personally, at any point after this, next time by is going to be 15 laps to go. With such a small field, you can wait. It all depends on who you're going to be working with, who's around you, if they want to go or not. You're not going to be able to make a move by yourself. And ultimately, as you see the 5 jump up top and trying to force the 32 and the 15 down to the bottom, they do. He blocks a little bit, and now Aaron Kralick has got those Category 5 machines right behind him, as that didn't go as planned at all.
Yeah, that little block by Dakota there is going to cost him a couple of spots. Speaking to your point there, Sam, go time, like you said, Tom, I mean, it's any point from right now. As a driver, personally, driving Talladega, super speedway racing, my sweet spot's 5 to go. I want to be in a position with 5 to go to make a move.
Honestly, 5 to go was kind of the window I was thinking as well. But up front, Thomas Walter, Aaron Kralick, going to be your front 2 currently. But here comes the outside lane, going to be led by that of Dakota Moniz, and the 5 strong on the outside once more. Aaron Kralick trying to attach himself to that, and luckily for the 0-1, they aren't going to have the outside working, but at least the 0-1's got his best pusher He's going to have Ryan Bird behind him, but Nick Crawford to the lead, exactly where the 11 needs to be to make sure he can make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, and that did not, like you said, Sam, that didn't work out for Aaron Kralik at all. He jumped up too late to try and get in front of the 5, and then he just jumped up too late again to try and get the draft. Luckily, he had Ryan Bird behind him to kind of get him back up to speed with the pack. But now he's got the 32 and the 15 right in front of him. Those are the guys he's racing. You know, he doesn't want to be pushing them to the front. He wants to be pushed to the front.
No, right now there is no teammates. Every man for themselves to get into the Final Four.
Who is going to make it to the Final Four? Again, we had our Elite 8. That was Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, Zach Hull, Cedric Hunter, Tom Sinchek, Aaron Kralik, Nick Crawford, and that of Mark Whitley. And that was how they were lined up coming into today's race. Mark Whitley did not show up. So automatically turned it from 8 drivers to 7 that were trying to battle for those top 4 spots to race for a championship next week. Then Cedric Hunter got caught up in a wreck with the 20 of James Tremmel. And now we are down to just 6 drivers who are trying to make it into the final 4 spots. And Nick Crawford in a prime position, leading the way on the inside as we're coming to 13. It will be 12 to go when they come across the line.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know if it's a prime position, but it's definitely a good one. You look back in NASCAR history, and even on iRacing for that matter, there's been so many last lap passes or passes with 2 to go that the leader doesn't even, most of the time the leader doesn't win the race. I don't know if Nick Crawford's sitting in the best position, but he's definitely sitting in a good one, sitting at the front of the field, or at least the first car on the inside line.
Yeah, Tom, if I'm Nick Crawford right now, I'm hoping I get passed because I do not want to be leading right now. Get that high line by me. Let me make a couple of moves and a couple of laps because I do not want to be leading.
Well, speaking of moves, 3rd car on the outside. There's Aaron Kralik in the 0-1 who had fallen back now in the middle of that outer groove, and here they come. Potentially splitting it 3 wide, but it's going to be Zach Hall to the inside. Now going to be Vincent Sora stuck on the outside. I don't think that's exactly where we wanted to be, but a very close call is shuffling and wiggling. Almost saw the 15 spinning himself around.
I'll tell you, that was way too close for comfort. The 15 of Vincent Sora kind of moved down a little slowly in front of the 01, and it almost caused disaster for everybody behind them, even themselves. But you know what? That's going to happen. We're going to have quick moves, we're going to have slow moves, especially, coming to 10 to go this time by. It's going to set up for something very, very exciting.
Yeah, speaking of exciting, Tom, and a question for both of you. Being a driver, Talladega, unlike Daytona, you can run 3 lanes. As we see, of course, we're going to see it right now on the screen, a little bit of 3 lanes. Do we see anybody? Is there enough guys with this 11-man pack to make something happen on the 3rd lane if they're side by side?
I mean, I think they certainly can, but the issue is you've got that of, 6 drivers on Category 5 that are working with one another. That's already splitting the field in half that are going to be trying to stay in line with one another to be moving forward. And then you've got the little teammates that are going to be still working with drivers that are aligned with Category 5 as 0-1 by himself to the outside, trying to make passes, side drafting his way forward. But Sean Hutzstettler, you see in the 94, one of the drivers as well as behind him, Thomas Walter. Those are 2 drivers that are not racing for a championship. They're racing for pride and only for wins. Same goes to the 5 who's in the top 3 currently, Dakota Moniz. They've shown that they've got speed, but they're just racing for the win, not for a championship.
Yeah, and that kind of, we talked about it last week with Danny Cochran winning. Once you're out of the championship hunt, you're just trophy hunting at that point. You want to make yourself look good going into next season, carry the momentum, whether they, these certain people return or not, it's up to them. But you want to carry all the momentum going into, the next season or even the next league that they might join.
And definitely when it comes to racing, momentum is key. Once you get on a roll, you usually stay hot until something bad happens. And, prime example, Cedric Hunter tonight. He was hot coming in. And just unfortunate bad luck early on in the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think for Cedric Hunter, so close last week, coming away. I mean, the 13 machine was one position away from being locked in to our Final Four. If he won and passed the 2 of Danny Cochran last week at New Hampshire, he would have been in for our Final Four. But instead, he's not racing for a championship, showing just one bad race, and your hopes of going to the next round are snuffed out.
You know, and Sam, we talked about it last week. With usually in NASCAR, there's 3 races to each round. Well, and there's 3 rounds before the Final Four. In most iRacing leagues, we have 2 races in each round, with 2 rounds before the Final Four. So it's a lot more competitive to end up getting to maintain consistency.
Yeah, definitely have to, hit your marks, stay clean, stay out of trouble. I mean, that's the key on moving on. As we see the outside line with the 5, getting something going here with about 7-6 to go.
Moniz, like we noted on, he's leading the outside lane, the Sean Hutt-Stutler, Thomas Walter, and riding on board with the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik. Kralik needing to make sure that he's at least 5 positions ahead of the 8 of Tom Sinchek, and there's a little bit of bobbling. The 8 stuck in the sucker hole, and now we're seeing a little bit of teamwork helping, and will we see the 0-1 move up? He does, leaving Tom Sinchek by his lonesome, going backwards. But now he's found at least one teammate to work with, of Kyle Rochelle.
Yeah, Sam, I think Kralik made that move a little too late. I think he was trying to use the 8 car as a, draft partner just to try and stay up with the 57. But he kind of sat behind him too long, got the 8 back up to speed a little bit, and now he's got to try and pass him. That was the prime opportunity to put cars in between them. But, as you can see now, he's stuck behind him.
Yeah, a little bit of a lost opportunity there, some minor things like that. I guess, coming down to these final laps, do we see the bottom line, 1, 2, 3 right there? Do we see them race each other? Do we see them get out of line? I mean, obviously, as a driver, I know your teammates, but as a driver, you want to win as we see a wreck.
Boy.
Oh, this is going to change it.
Into the wall, contact going to be made. Multiple drivers involved with that one. Tom Sinchek is going to be contacted. Aaron Kralik is going to be involved in this. And also Ryan Bird, Sean Hutt-Stutler, Thomas Walter. We will saw our pack now split in half. And, with it being 5 laps to go now, this could be putting us into overtime, guys.
Yeah, and Sam, we're looking right here. Tom Sinchek and Thomas Walter, both with meatballs. This could possibly be big trouble for the 8 machine if, Aaron Kralik, he was involved also with Sean Hutt-Stutler. They don't have, meatball flags, so they might be able to salvage something. I don't know how badly damaged the car is, but this could detrimental to Tom Sinchek if the 0-1 can keep going.
Yeah, just unfortunate. That's just deflating as a driver. You're a couple of laps out from possibly making it to the next round, and then just get involved with one wrong move there.
This field's going to be coming to a standstill, waiting for the pace car to catch up. But it's going to be Zach Hall, Nick Crawford, Vincent Soar, Brian Johnson, and Dakota Moniz is going to be surviving this as we take another look at this instant replay of what brought out the late yellow here. And you're going to be seeing Bird and also that of Sean Hutt-Stutler just hitting the quarter panel, not where you want to go. Max Foner is going to be involved in this one. You see the 8 of Tom Sinchek diving it down low and I think able to sneak by. But Max Foner and also Maurice Gomillion hard contact for themselves up into the outside wall. And it's also the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik getting some major damage on the front bumper for himself. You see the 44 tumbling down and bringing out this most recent yellow.
Sam, I think.
Well, isn't this an old one?
Yeah, I think that was the wreck that we saw.
I was like,
earlier.
wait a minute, where are the guys that are supposed to be involved in that?
But you basically summed it up. That's basically what happened.
It was the same exact thing that happened as, again, Sean Hutt-Stutler. That's why it kind of fooled me, because it was the same exact thing of the 94 being caught up in the pit in the wrong spot, and then there they go, smashed in, the 8 not able to avoid that one, and there they go. Just for the 8, luckily not as bad hits, but gonna have to stay in pit road to get damage repair, as there was a meatball required time and damage need to get repaired for that Tom Sinchek. And for Aaron Kralik and for Tom Sinchek, I wonder if there could have been a mind game play there for either one of them to stay out an extra lap potentially, to try to make sure they're ahead of the other driver. So when they came into pit road, they had that positioning just in case the 8 could not get out or the 01 couldn't get out there on track again.
Well, I definitely think Aaron Kralik's going to keep going. He doesn't have, I don't believe he doesn't have a meatball right now. Unfortunately, Sinchek is going to have to wait for that required damage to get repaired. I'm not sure if the 01 actually has a, required repairs at the moment.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that had to happen. It just shows you, just one slight slip up above, you're second in line on the top line. You go a half a lane up on the guy in front of you, and that just, everybody's in line. It's just so tight. You just, that millimeter, it just causes a wreck, and it's just unfortunate.
As we're going to be coming up to 3 laps to go here as we come across the line. Up front, still running on track. Going to be only 7 drivers currently. Zach Hall, Nick Crawford, Vincent Soar, Brian Johnson, Dakota Moniz, and Kyle Rochelle, with that of Tom Sinchek and Aaron Kralik still in pit road of our final 8. And this is one of the crazier things is, as we wait for the pace car lights to go off and see if we do go into overtime or not, as drivers are stacking up, it looks like they're getting ready. They're expecting us to get the lights back on, which could put us inside of inside the regulation green-white checkered. Lights are off, and that is exactly what we're going to be put into, fellas, is a green-white checkered, but in regulation. This is not an overtime attempt. We are going to be seeing if these drivers can survive his first attempt at a green-white checkered. But if a yellow comes out before we get the white flag, we go into overtime, as we only have really that of 6 drivers raceable to try to go for a win here tonight. Nick Crawford needs a win if he wants to move on to that of the final 4. Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, they do not have to win here tonight. They could just let the 11 win, and they'll be, all 4 of them that are in the top 4 will be racing for the final 4 in that Ford Championship.
And Sam, we got reports from pit road that the 01, first of all, the 01's back on track. Aaron Kralik, we got reports from his pit crew saying he only had about 6 minutes of total damage that's optional. And when they radioed up to us, they said that he had about 3.5 minutes left. He's going to get back out there, try and salvage something. And right now, he's ahead of Danny Cochran, Tom Sinchek. Those are 2 more points right there. He's going to try and get past a couple other people that might be damaged. So he could possibly do it still.
And he's just going to have to hope that something happens up front to these leaders.
Yeah, the big thing is make sure that Nick Crawford is not that of 3 positions ahead of the 0-1. And then also, Aaron Kralik's got to make sure that he's at least that of 5 positions ahead of the 8. And also needs to make sure that he's going to be over 5 positions ahead of the 13. Practically, Aaron Kralik needs to finish inside of the top, basically top 5, if not top 3, if he wants to move on to race for a championship here this for next week. But for the drivers up front, it's all on the line, as this is going to be a green-white checkered attempt. 2 laps to go. Who's going to get it done? Overtime is still there if we need it, but it's if we get a yellow before the white flag, as we are green for that of the funky Techie 266. Who's going to be in the final 4? We'll find out here very shortly. As up front, it's going to be Zach Hall, Vincent Sora. They are taking off, as that of Nick Crawford not able to get down. Dakota Moniz given the block on the inside. The 11 and the 28 is going to need a little bit more assistance, but who is going to work with them?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have any friends out there right now. It's basically a 6-car breakaway with the 49 of Ryan Bird kind of sitting in the catbird seat if anything happens. Sam, you mentioned it. They're basically just running amongst themselves at the moment.
Yeah, I thought somebody was going to go with the 5 there, but he got hung out to dry. So we're going to see. Now the one's looking outside.
We look into the outside again. If we get the white flag, we race it to the end. It doesn't matter what happens next. It's all about who can cross the line, as here is our freaky fast white flag out in the air, and it's going to be Kyle Rochelle leading the way. Here comes Nick Crawford on the outside, going to be following suit with the 1. But here is the question, Tom. Who is going to work with the 11, or do they all just stay in line?
They're definitely not going to stay in line here. As you see Zachary Hall jump to the outside, trying to get the push from Brian Johnson as they go down into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through the corner. And Steven, take it away.
I think we're going to see Zachary Hall move that outside line here. Let's see if they get anything off turn 4. One's holding strong at the bottom. Nick Crawford knows he needs to win. Let's see. He's making a move up high.
Nick Crawford makes the move high, but coming up and giving a little bit of bumps, going to be the 1. Bumping around. Vincent Sora's going to hold on. It's going to be Nick Crawford finding the space and winning and locking himself in. The must-win scenario happens. Nick Crawford's running for a championship. Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall. That finishes your championship 4, as everyone else is going to crying with woes after this one.
Wow. Just wow. I knew there was going to be contact, but great job keeping it clean and green to the end right there. I thought Aaron was going to be able to pull it out, but you know what? Good. Congrats to Nick, and I'm kind of glad I picked him. Thanks, Robert.
That was a good call, Robert. Nick Crawford with the win there. Had that high line. I said that high line was going to work. It'd be the one to win, and sure enough, it worked.
It certainly did. Nick Crawford, once again, finding victory lane at the super speedways. And I got to say, for Nick Crawford getting this win, it is massive. 3rd win of the season, all on the line now, as he's going to have to fight and claw going into next week at Chicagoland. As the 11 gets to burn it down, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we get to talk to our top 3, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, and Dakota Moniz. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show. As tonight, it was the final race to figure out who was going to be moving on for the final four, as it is going to be that of seeing Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson, and Zach Hall all going to be moving on. But before we start talking about the future, let's talk about who finished where here tonight. As for third place, it was Dakota Moniz finding himself in that third place position. And as we bring up Dakota Moniz, we throw it over to Tom Bourne to talk to third place.
Hey, Dakota, it's Tom. Got me?
Yeah, I got you. I'm clear.
All right, man. We saw you start mid-pack. All right, not the ideal starting spot for a super speedway. What were your thoughts going, starting the race in 10th and trying to survive?
Yeah, honestly, just starting back there, that was the plan, was just survive and, not having a faster pair. I wanted to make sure to be there at the end. That was the goal, and we were able to do that right there and come away with the P3.
Well, man, we saw you really just hanging out in the back the entire time. We saw bursts of speed with that car. Driving that thing, did you feel like you could, possibly make a charge at any point, or did you actually have to build up a run, get people behind you or in front of you to really make something like that work?
It just depended on where you caught, the checkups at and where you caught the cars at. You could get a big run and make a couple passes on your own, but yeah, mostly it was you had to build up that run and coordinate it with the other drivers out there on track.
All right, man. Well, great run for you tonight. A top 3 finish, after a okay starting spot. You got anybody to thank?
I just want to thank all the sponsors, ButtKicker, Track Racer. I want to thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast, and of course, thanks to my teammate Aaron Kralik. We didn't quite get him into the Final Four, but it was a good season for him. So, shout out to him.
All right, man. Well, again, great finish. Third place for you tonight. Well, hopefully, we could be talking to you again next week as we head into Chicagoland.
Yep, sounds good. I appreciate it, guys.
And that was Dakota Moniz finishing third tonight. And I believe Steven has caught up with our second place finisher, Vincent Sora.
Hey, Vincent, Steve Stempian up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, hey, man.
Hey, Vincent, congratulations on taking home second place tonight. Just want to get a feeling of what your thoughts were. You kind of hung in the back most of the race. One of the cautions that we had, you were up in front, but then you went right back to the back. What was the thought process tonight?
Just to add any wrecks, I knew that I was in a pretty good point spot tonight, and pretty much as long as I didn't do anything stupid or get caught up in someone else's mess, that I was probably going to make the Final Four, and especially with the help of my teammates tonight here at Category 5 Esports, I knew we would probably all help each other all night until it came down to, whenever we need to get dicey and make moves for ourselves. But, yeah, pretty much just stay out of wrecks and don't make any mistakes.
Yeah, you guys certainly did a good job on teamwork tonight, which leads me to my next question. That last lap, coming to the backstretch, you're behind Mr. Zachary Hall, and he goes on the outside. I know you kind of looked to try to go with him, but obviously you were blocked on that high line. What was the thought process coming to that backstretch to the finish line?
Yeah, I wanted to push Zach to the win there. That was the plan. And I was just going to stay tucked up behind him until we crossed the line, and he was the winner. But unfortunately, I got sidedrafted pretty hard out of 4 coming to the white, and it just pulled me back and completely killed our run, which is super unfortunate. Then on the back, I was kind of boxed, and I was just waiting for everybody to wreck or some hole to open, and the hole opened whenever they wrecked. And I actually thought I had it there for a second because I went to the inside of Kyle, and then I heard them all wrecking, and then I looked over at my right monitor and saw Nick was there and went up to try to side draft him, but it was just a little too late. But yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Vincent, I thought you were going to get him on that bottom line there coming to the line, but heck of a job tonight. Congratulations on moving to Chicagoland for the Final Four. Anybody that you want to thank, teammates, sponsors?
Yeah, for sure. First off, McConey Setup Shop, one of my wonderful sponsors, Buddy Custom Baits, Hot Lap Designs, Danny Cochran. He makes me some beautiful paint schemes. I want to thank all my teammates at Category 5. I want to thank everybody in the league. Shout out to Nick for getting the win and all my and you guys for broadcast.
All right, man. Congratulations again on P2.
Thank you.
And big thanks to that of Steven Stimpian and Tom Bourne as we now head to Victory Lane, where we get to talk to the driver that came in practically a must-win scenario here tonight. Nick Crawford getting the victory lane and making himself a Final Four contender for a championship. Nick, once again, super speedway. You did it at the start of the season, and now when it's clutch time, you win again at a super speedway. How does it feel knowing that you're moving to the Final Four?
Honestly, I don't even know what to say, Sam. Didn't think this would be happening. I was dead set on just pushing Zach to the end, and then that caution came out, and then it so happened that Brian lined up behind me, and honestly, I don't even remember what all happened on that last few laps. I'm trying to rewatch it, but it's a great feeling. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and the biggest thing was seeing Kyle Rochelle come up, trying to squeeze you and kind of wrecking himself out, but still giving you the best opportunity to go for a win. How was it trying to hold on to that car on the front stretch?
Uh, the iRacing gods were definitely looking down upon me right there in the tri-oval. They definitely cut me a break right there because normally my car probably would have been spun out, but I got really lucky, I think, with where he hit, and I was just able to kind of hold on to it, and just Vinny wasn't close enough to get that side draft, and I somehow finished in front.
Well, Nick, there's one more race to go. It's the championship race. You've got your contenders. It's going to be Brian Johnson, Vincent Soares, Zach Hall, and yourself. How are you feeling about going into Chicagoland next week?
Definitely feeling like the underdog. It's a track that everybody can be good at. It's got potential for multi-groove racing, so I really need to just work on consistency. Plate tracks, it's pretty easy, but um, with those mile and a halves and short tracks, you really have to be consistent, and that's something that Zach, Vinny, and Brian are really good at. So I got to work on that this week.
Well, Nick, congratulations again on the win. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I just want to, again, as always, I want to shout out my wife. Passing the finish line, the first thing I thought of is I can't wait to tell my wife about what happened. And then also, I want to shout out to you guys. You do such a great job every week. For me, getting a top 3 is almost as good as a win because that means I get to get interviewed. So thank you again for what you guys do. And then
It
also,
always
I want to shout out to Brian and Cat 5. Without them, I'd be at the end of the field right now.
Absolutely. Well, we always love to have you up in the booth here, Nick. And congratulations again on the win, and good luck going into next week battling for a championship.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
Well, what a race it was. Came down to the end of who was going to make it in. We had a pretty good showing and knowing that it was most likely going to be Vincent Soares, Brian Johnson, and Zach Hall, the top 3 that were going to be moving on. But it was always about that 4th place position. It was a revolving door all day, as at one moment it was for sure going to be Cedric Hunter. Then Tom Sinchek was one of the favorites. Eric Kralik was up front. You thought maybe he was going to steal away with that final position. But it was Nick Crawford, the furthest out of the 7 that showed up, gets the win, and we'll be moving on to our championship race next week at Chicagoland. Well, we're now going to take a look at the unofficial results because there was a lot of controversy that hit here tonight. Lots of drama and drivers with some lost hopes. But getting the win is the 11 and Nick Crawford in first place with Vincent Soares, Dakota Moniz, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall. Going to be your top 5 with Ryan Bird, Kyle Rochelle, Thomas Walter, Aaron Kralik, Sean Hutzutler finishing out your top 10. Well, guys, thank you for both of you, that of Steven Stimpy and Tom Bourne, joining me. We're going to start off with you, Tom. Final thoughts of the night before we head off and get ready for next week.
We got the Final Four set. Those are the guys we got to focus on next race. But ultimately, it could be anybody. You don't have to win the championship necessarily. It should be a fun race at Chicagoland, like Vincent said in the interviews, or Nick, I'm not quite sure. Multi-groove. Anybody really has a chance to win there, especially with the package they have. It should be interesting. And I'm really excited to look forward to the next race. This race was pretty exciting itself, and we move on.
Steven, your final thoughts before we head off to Chicagoland.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys are happy to be done with plate track racing and going to a pretty fun track. Chicagoland, past experience is a multi-groove track. It's fun. It's all about tires saving at Chicagoland, and I look to Zachary Hall to You know, he's like myself. He loves to save them tires, so he's going to put up a good fight. But it's going to be a good battle between those last 4 drivers to get the championship next week. Looking forward to watching it.
We are all excited for it now. Who is going to get the win and win the championship for season 4? Because there are no previous championship winners making it to this final round. We're going to have a first-time champion for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series, and that is going to be either Brian Johnson, the most dominating driver with 5 wins, Vincent Sora, who's got 3 wins, Nick Crawford, who has 3, and Zach Hall with just 1 win earlier in the season at Auto Club. The stage is set. Who's going to get it done? Is it going to be which one of those 4 drivers is going to get the win? Or are they going to just have to beat out the other driver for the championship? It will all be shown here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting Saturday night at Chicagoland next week. Can't wait for it all to come down to the end. But for tonight, thank you to Steve Stippian for hopping in, joining us. Tom Bourne coming in for the 2nd week in a row. My name is Sam Dyer. Robert Morey running productions as always. And for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us for Saturday night racing action. Cannot wait for more racing action throughout the week. And we'll see you all Wednesday night for the Underdog Racing League. But until then, have a good one.